Good day, everyone. Welcome to the All About Us podcast, where we also have real conversations about real life. I'm your host, Carl Allen, and today we're diving deep into some powerful topics that affects millions of lives. We'll be exploring mental health, particularly depression, breaking down stigmas around plant medicine, and discovering paths to reclaiming joy and financial abundance. I'm thrilled to welcome our special guest, Gloria Scaggs, an entrepreneur who has navigated these waters herself and emerged stronger. And in addition, she's my baby sister. We grew up in the same household. Gloria, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, our first topic today is going to be breaking the silence on depression. Let's start with your story. You've kind of been a little open about your journey with depression. What made you decide to speak up about it in the manner that you're doing now?
Say it was faith in God and my belief in God, and He brought me out of it. I felt like it was my duty to more awareness of it and to help as many people as I can to get up out of depression.
Okay. So, your depression, when did you actually first become aware that something was wrong with you and that it wasn't normal, and how did it display itself? Were you unhappy? Were you crying initially? Were you just having uncontrollable thoughts? How did it first display itself to you?
My very first recollection of it would be when I had my son. I went through the postpartum depression. I had my son on Thanksgiving Day. This year, his
Okay.
birthday falls on Thanksgiving Day again. Actually had him on
Okay.
Thanksgiving Day. And, when I brought him home, it was the fear that responsible for this little baby. I'm responsible for this little boy's faith. From there,
Hmm.
it was like, I didn't wanna touch him. Took me, like, weeks to, like, bathe him. Took me weeks to
Wow.
really do anything for him. Was breastfeeding at
Well,
the
who was
time.
doing that for you?
Oh, his father was there at the time, and I had,
Okay.
mom and dad came down, for the birth of him, so
Okay.
they kinda stayed, like, 1 or 2
Okay.
days. Father was there. He was in the military too, so he had took
Okay.
off. Now, I was
Right.
breastfeeding at the
Okay.
time, so I would breastfeed, but the whole time and because I knew that was at least for the first 3 months of his life, that was important to get those
Hmm.
nutrients in his body. I did that, but I would cry the whole time that I was doing it. His father, bathed him and, dressed him and played with him, and you'd look at him, but I just did not wanna touch him. It's like, that's just too
Wow.
much responsibility. That's the first time that
Hmm.
I can understand that, like, something's wrong with me. Something is really wrong with me. Like,
Okay.
why you don't wanna touch your baby? Something's wrong with you.
Okay. And so when you came to that realization, did you try to seek any treatment or did you just kind of like stuff it and just deal with
Pretty much just kinda, like, stuffed it. I never got any treatment because, there was this stigma that, if you go to therapy or if you're seeing a psychologist or something like that, that was deemed for crazy people. And so I didn't want people to think I was crazy or anything like that. So just kinda just put it on the back burner and was just like, "Girl, you just gotta deal with this. Like, you just gotta deal with it," is all I just kept telling myself the whole time, just feeling horrible inside. And yes, you have all these negative thoughts that come in your head, like you're not a good mother, you're gonna drop him. Who told you that you could be a mother? Like you just have all types of negative thoughts that come into your head.
and it's kind of strange for me because I never really had to deal with depression. And my depression, whenever something gets overwhelming for me, I just lay down and go to sleep. And then when I wake up, my world is just so much better. But the reality of me and the realization is depression was because the last two women that I've been in relationships with, they dealt with depression. And so that became my exposure to it and kind of like my understanding that it's real. And it's difficult for a person who doesn't suffer from depression to understand how things that you're doing and the things that you say can really affect or go to the level of crushing that individual. It can be far more impacting than, you say something to a normal person and they just kind of like, okay, but to those people, it has a much, much, much greater impact. So, like I said, I didn't suffer depression at the level you did. So there must be different types of depression.
So I was healing. That's what I learned. Like there's situation depression, like oh, don't have money in your account, you're depressed, or someone dies and you're depressed. So you have situational depression, and there's chronic depression, along with panic attacks, anxiety, and suicide. So I went all the way to the hilltop with mine. If I'm gonna be depressed, I'm gonna be all the way depressed. Is what I went. I laugh about it now, but it just was not funny, going through it, but
Right.
I just thank God. That's all I could say is I just thank God.
Well, that's good. That's good. Many entrepreneurs face mental health challenges, but feel pressure to maintain a perfect image. How do you navigate that?
With entrepreneurship, we take it too personal. And when somebody says no, like they're not interested in your business, we take it as they're saying, well, they don't want me. Like we're taking it like they're rejecting you personally, but they're not rejecting you. They don't know you. But at the time, right now, opportunity that you're offering to them, they're not open to receive it. So as an entrepreneur, especially in network marketing, where you meet all different types of people, you got to understand that it's just not right now. Like they didn't get enough information in them to really understand what the business is or how the business can really help us or help them.
Hmm. Okay. Now with you being an entrepreneur and also dealing with depression, did you deal with the depression first, or did you kind of start negotiating the path to healing from your depression through entrepreneurship?
It's a really good question. I feel like God kind of brought both of them in together for me
Mhm,
because
mhm,
I met the person that brought me into the business was just like, look, I've been dealing with depression for 20 years. I'm still here, even though I did try to kill myself 3 times. I'm still here. I'm still here for a purpose. So let me just find a way to just deal with this depression. Okay, if you cry, you cry, But I went through, alcoholism, trying to mask the pain. I went through a lot of different things just trying to mask the pain of depression. Once the business came into my life and you got with a community, you just learn more, and then you learn your worth, and you learn how, and then you get into the Bible and you learn how you were wonderfully made and you were made in God's like image. And it's just like, well, how can I not love myself? So I think the business really helped me to start my journey to be like, you know what? Because it was like the depression came all of a sudden, and then it was like it just left all of a sudden. And it's that time in
mhm,
between that is just like, wow.
mhm.
And if I can get through this, I can get through anything. That's kind of what I
Right.
say. But God, I do believe that this business really helped save my life and really helped me to get
Mm,
out and see how beautiful this world is. And it also gave me a purpose to really go
mhm.
out and help as many people as I can.
So now, when you become an entrepreneur, because I'm one also, there's some nights that I don't get any sleep. I'm just up working, working, working on things, working on things, working on things. Is there, because yours is more on a sales end of it, and I've never been a good salesman. Do you ever feel like there's a myth that you kind of like always have to be hustling? You always have to be selling a product, or is that just a myth?
Oh, I'm not going to say that it's a myth. I think that there's some people that are like a bulldog. Like they go out and they're like,
Hmm.
like, I got to get people, I got to get sales, I got to do this. Like, "Arr, arr, arr." But when you flip it around and you change your mindset, you find a way to make it about the people. Like, how can I help the people? Like, what can I do for the people? When you find a niche and a need for the people and you find joy in it. Well, there's different
Okay.
entrepreneurs. There's ones that's like like I said, a pit dog, and they're just going to do it by any means necessary. And there's
Mm-hmm.
ones that just lets God guide your path and lead you along the way because the right people are going to come into your life. And you'll build a team that is going to love and support you. So for me, not a salesperson, I was retired for 10 years before getting into
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship. So
Right.
I didn't think I needed anything. Like I was like, okay, I'm good. Lights are still on, everything's still functioning. I'm
Mm-hmm.
good. But when you find a
Mm-hmm.
purpose and when you find a love, and to be honest with you, getting into plant medicine, that was a whole nother mindset that I had to change because we were always taught that it was wrong, was illegal, and
Right.
you'll get in trouble.
Right.
So that's what
Right.
really made me turn to the Bible. Be like, Lord, I know you want this business to be you, but really?
Right.
And it's like,
Right.
what is my mom gonna think? What are my friends gonna think? What are my kids
Right.
gonna think? Because when they started using it, I really thought I was gonna have them in the rehab and all kinds of stuff. But when you understand it, you understand the health benefits of it, it just makes things a lot easier. Entrepreneurship for me has been a journey that has been a beautiful blossoming journey.
Okay. Now, because of the levels in the type of business you're in, at some point you're a leader and you're coaching others and training them and teaching them about plant medicine and about the business model and everything else. Do you think it's important to display your vulnerability, your struggles, and what you went through in order to be a good leader?
And the reason why I say that is because people can relate to you. Everybody has all different types of issues and things that's going on.
Right.
So if you really want to tap into people, you have to be vulnerable. You have to show your
Okay.
struggle that they can relate to you because they may have that same struggle or a different struggle. But because you are bold enough to step out there and say, hey, this is what I dealt with, or this is what I'm dealing with, this makes people have more of a compassion, be like, I can relate to that, or I went through that too. So I do believe that when you come into entrepreneur and network marketing like this, you do have to develop really good leadership levels and skills.
Hmm.
And that is something that I lack. So I dove deep into getting a lot of personal development because I don't want to steer anybody wrong. I want to give them wrong or bad information. So for me, it has to be Bible based, everything like that. And everybody's journey is a lot different. So as long as I can get you on that journey, you figure it out for yourself, then I'm good with it.
Now, this brings us to an interesting part of your journey, your exploration of plant medicine, including cannabis. How were you first introduced to this whole line of business and what's the name of the company? It's the whole rundown on how this whole thing kind of happened.
Say that my upline, her name is Hudson. He saw me in the grocery store. Now I was all dressed up, heels, dressed to the nine, but I was so broken inside. So I said I was a dressed up mess when she first met me. So she met me, she introduced me to the no, she gave me her business card. So I was
Okay.
like, now mind you, I've been retired for 10 years. So I didn't know people still handed
Mhm.
out business cards. So she gave me her business card, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to throw this away in front of her. But when I get home, I'm just going to throw this away. Oh, but I got home.
That's a Baltimore, Washington, D.C. thing. Everybody has a business card down there. But go on,
Right,
I'm
right.
sorry.
Or a digital card, but
Oh, there you go. But
everybody.
down there, everybody had, yeah. But
So
continue,
I
please.
came home, I thought I threw it away, but I actually put it on my nightstand. So I was still suffering with, panic attacks every now and again. So I was woken up from panic attack. So yeah, I was woken up from a panic attack. So I'm laying there and I'm trying to pray myself through it. Then I was like, dang, I thought I threw the card away, right? So I looked at it and I scanned the back of the card because it had a QR code. I scanned the back of the card and I saw that it was cannabis. So I threw the card. I was like, cannabis? I'm not doing cannabis. So I threw the card on the floor.
Right.
I was like, "Oh, okay."
Right.
So the next morning, I finally kinda got some rest. The next morning, I got up and, I'm always rushing to get my daughter to practice because she's a competitive dancer and she always has practice.
Right.
So I grab, keys and stuff like that. I never realized that I grabbed the business card. In the business card. So I'm sitting in the car. So while she's in at practice, I'm sitting in the car and I'm either reading or watching videos or, watching something from what Netflix, while she's in there at practice.
Right.
But this particular time, like I was kind of like in a trance. I didn't understand it. I had her card out. I had my credit card out. I was about to sign up for this business. And at the time, it was almost $1,000 to get into the business. I'm about to hit, you know, pay. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. I don't know this lady. I don't know this business. I don't know anything. I was like, at least I can do it is call and talk to her because I'm about to sign up for a business I don't have no clue about. So I called her and I love her because to this day, she is the same as she was the day when I met her as she is right now. It's like, I'm having a party. If you're gonna come, then you need to be here by 4. If it's after 4:15, then don't come because I give samples and I need you to feel it, and then I need you to get out my house. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
damn, that was kind of rude. No, but I dance on the dance team. And before I knew it,
Mhm.
I was in the
Mhm.
studio telling my coach, I was like, oh, I can't practice today. I got something I gotta do. And I was at her house that
Okay.
night. I ended up signing up that night. And I never even knew about the compensation plan till after I got
Mhm.
into the business. And then I understood the
Right.
compensation plan. So I was just like, oh, okay. So that's how I really got into the business. And then through the business,
Okay.
like I said, I found out more about the plant, and I started doing my
Mhm.
own research because people can tell you whatever they want to tell you, but you need to research
Right.
things for yourself. So that's my journey of getting into the business called Cannaglo. It was really that last statement from the CEO that said, "Making people happy," and it's what I desired for so long was to be happy. So to bring
Okay.
laughter in the lives and bring the homes back together. When I read that statement,
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh yeah," because I'm looking for happiness, so that was it for me. So that's how I got into the business of Cannaglo.
Okay, what are some of the strong misconceptions concerning cannabis?
Biggest one that I've found. And so that's what we're called shift the stigma. So we're trying to shift the stigma on cannabis because for so long we were told that it was wrong, it was bad for you. Even the government, the federal government made it illegal. And when you find out the reasons why they did all of that, it just makes you mad. It just makes you mad. And
Well, a
so,
lot of it was racially based. It was racially based because they considered cannabis was considered a black man's drug.
right, weed, or whatever you
Weed,
want
yeah.
to call it, is healthy for your body. We have an endocannabinoid system. We all went through public schools, private schools, whatever school you went through. And not in one of those health classes did they teach you about an endocannabinoid system. They taught you about a respiratory system. They taught you about those things, but they never told you about an endocannabinoid system with the CB1 and CB2 receptors. And our
once
bodies,
again,
huh?
once
Maybe,
again, well, see, that's biochemistry. So, a
right,
lot of times, when you're in high school, you don't learn about biochemistry on that level. Well, at least when I was in high school, I did. Because I was in college, in medical school, I have knowledge of this stuff. But still, once again, cannabis is not something that, was spoken of in a positive manner, even at those levels.
right. I agree with you on that. But our bodies need cannabinoids. Where are the
Mhm.
cannabinoids found? Cannabis plant, in the cannabis plant. So what it does is it brings your body back to its natural state, back to rest. A lot of the
Mhm.
doctors don't want you to know, like they talk about all these things that's not curable, like cancer is not
Mhm.
curable, anemia is not
Mhm.
curable, HIV is not curable. They tell you all
Mhm.
these things that is not curable, but that is not true. But when you get into cannabis and you learn about the plants and the different parts of the plant, then you really understand, like, it's needed. More doctors are getting more into the cannabis and healing and plant healing and things like that. Excuse me.
Well, see, one of the things that makes it very difficult is because cannabis was, from its inception, introduced as a recreational drug versus being, introduced as a medicinal drug. And once again, the medicinal approach comes from a totally different angle than, a recreational use. From a recreational use, yeah, okay, they have this name of weed, or it might be Kush, or it might
Right.
be haze, or it might be whatever. But the people partaking in it didn't know if this was a sativa or this was an indica, and what the influences of those different two types had upon the body. And that even within strains in the sativa branch or the indica branch, they have different levels of THC and other cannabinoids that bring about different effects. And so once again, it's just like the initial exposure of cannabis kind of makes it an uphill battle to get people to even think about it from a medicinal standpoint. And I think we're kind of getting to that now with a lot of the scientific research, and now they're breaking different things down to people concerning some of the benefits concerning it. So what are some of the products? Can you show us the name or the logo of your products?
So I can show you. I
Mhm.
think I have the logo here. Oh, I should have got my shirt. It would have had the logo. So I'm gonna say one of our biggest sellers on the
Mhm.
website is have a pain bomb. It's 1,000
Mhm.
milligram. Now this is just a little sample size that
Mhm.
pretty much give
Mhm.
out to people, but it's a pain
Mhm.
bomb. And so if you feel in
Mhm.
any type of pain, like from arthritis, back pain, or anything like that,
Mhm.
you can rub this on, and because of nanotechnology, you will
Mhm.
feel relief within 15 to 20 minutes. Now, this is a small tube, like a chapstick. So if you got
Right.
something, you rubbing it in. But if you buy real deal
Right.
from the website, it's a bigger tube. You rub it in, you massage it into your body, and I can guarantee that you're going to feel better. About to be 55. I did have back surgery. I'm
Mhm.
still dancing on a dance team. Every now and
Mhm.
again, I might have to use my pain bomb, and it helps me to be a little
Mhm.
bit more flexible when trying to move this 50 plus body. So we have this. Other big thing that we have is we have our gummies. This
Mhm.
says that it's for, sleep, stress, and pain. But
Mhm.
I can
Mhm.
guarantee you you can see it with the gummy.
Mhm.
A lot
Mhm.
of people are scared to take gummies, but the reason why they're scared to take gummies is because of the people that was in the kitchen, cooking up the gummies. You don't know how much THC that is in there. So again, medicinal, sorry, is when
Mhm.
you take this, you're just going to feel good. You're not going to be too high or
Mhm.
anything like that. And it's more like how, like, apple is really red, or that's so beautiful. It just gives you a better
Mhm.
sense on life versus,
Okay.
just being high and being stuck somewhere and not able to enjoy where you're at. So a lot of people are scared of gummies. I mean, I was too.
Mhm.
Um, I
Mhm.
still don't really use cannabis like that, but I am definitely a believer in it. And there's been a lot of
Mhm.
stories that have helped people. Well, that's
That's
why
good.
I really push for the medicinal use. Now we have a
Mhm.
lot of products on the website too that's like fun,
Mhm.
have popcorn on there.
Mhm.
You can see I gave it out for some samples, but this was really
Right.
popular that it sold out on the website. But we have
Mm-hmm.
brownie mix, we have cookie batter,
Mm-hmm.
we have chicken fry batter. So
Mm-hmm.
it's if you eat enough of it, yeah, you probably gonna be stuck somewhere. But if you just want to eat a little bit to have some
Mm-hmm.
type of enjoyment and enjoy the party that you're at, know, that's where it's at. We also have a mushroom line too.
Okay.
If you can see that we have a mushroom line. This is on reishi. We have
Mm-hmm.
shaga. We have over 300 products on our website,
Wow.
and it's growing. And it's growing. Also
Mm-hmm.
have celebrity influencers like Snoop Dogg. Everybody knows Snoop Dogg, and
Mm-hmm.
he's good for smoking,
Correct.
right? So you know that our
Correct.
products are real because he wouldn't endorse anything like this. Also have products from Rick Ross website and Cheech and
Okay.
Chong. And you know, back in our day, Cheech and Chong was like the first on TV
Right.
smoking, right?
Right. Right. Going back years.
Right, right. So
Mm-hmm.
we also have the water.
Mm-hmm.
We have Blitz drinks. We have
Wow.
mocktails. We just have a wide variety of many different products on the website.
Okay. Okay. And what's it?
Medicinal, recreational.
Okay. And what's the name of the website?
My website, I mean, I guess I would probably have to type it to you so that you could probably put it
Okay.
on
Well,
at the
no,
bottom.
just
But
say it. Just say it.
it's
So
it,
the
it's
audience.
it's Cantaglo. Well, each person that comes into the business, you get to name your own store. So you actually have your
Right.
own store. Mine's
Right.
is
But
called
what is the name? Go ahead. Say
Cantaglo.
what's it's
Cantaglo.
Cana Glow.
And if you
Right.
backslash and put G Buzz, then you're gonna come to my site,
Uh,
my store. My store is called G Buzz. But the company is called Cantaglo.
okay. Okay. So I'm going to do some rapid fire questions here. What's one myth about depression you want to bust? What's one myth about depression you want to bust?
Not real. Real.
Okay. Okay. So a lot of people don't think it's real. They think, you can control it or you're just
Yeah,
faking
you
or,
really can. You really
you
can.
just, you just want attention. Okay. Second question. The biggest misconception about plant medicine.
It's harmful for you.
Okay. Okay. I go with that. What's the first step someone should take if they're struggling with depression or any type of mental health?
To be honest with you, I would say the first step is really getting help. It really is.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. You
once
need to see a doctor.
yeah, it really do because really that doctor for some reason is giving you a mental comfort. I
Mm-hmm.
would say seek a doctor because you need that mental
Mm-hmm.
comfort to know that to give you the strength because it's step by step
Mm-hmm.
and it gives you the strength to overcome it. I also would say into the Bible. Read the word for yourself. Yes, go to church. To
Mm-hmm.
your pastor, your preacher, your deacon, anybody like that. But go back and read the word for yourself because you're getting their interpretation, what the word is saying. You need the interpretation that God wants you to have.
Okay. What's the best business decision you made for your mental health?
Say probably stepping into entrepreneurship. I'm not saying this business, this was for me,
Mm-hmm.
but anybody, I would say entrepreneurship because you will learn personal development. You will learn a strength beyond you could ever imagine, especially if you don't give up. If you have a purpose, there's people for you to reach. Don't give up.
Okay. Now we're going to enter that section of the show where you get to ask me 3 questions. This is flip mode. So, what are your 3 questions you have for your big brother?
First question I have is what made you decide to do a podcast?
What made me decide to do a podcast is because I hear a lot of things that people are saying all the time in normal conversation and being put on the internet. And it's misinformation. It's misinformation. And so we live in a day and age now where people just like to talk. They like to communicate. And many times they don't have really a very strong basis for, what they're saying or even what their opinion is. And so, and also, we really don't sit down and communicate and try to understand each other now. So, what I wanted to do was, I wanted to start a podcast that there was a dialogue being addressed between different people of different cultures, breaking down stigmas that kept us from being one and coming together. Because we have indigenous people all over the world. And what they do is they teach us to hate each other. So we don't come together and we don't unify. So once again, this podcast is about not just descendants of Africa, but indigenous people from all over, whether it's in the Aborigines or you're an islander or you're from the Philippines or you're from China or somewhere else in Asia. You have indigenous cultural traditions that go back hundreds, if not thousands of years. And so we have to learn how to understand the cultures of others and embrace their cultures. Second question.
But what is one of the greatest compliments? I can't even say it. But you know what I'm trying to
Accomplishments.
say. But what is one of your great accomplishments in life?
My greatest accomplishments, the fact that I can look at my children. And I wasn't always the greatest father, but the Lord really blessed me with what I would consider good, decent children. And in spite of that, and just to be able to look at them and see bits and pieces of me
Yeah.
in each one of
Yeah.
that's it for me. And I know a lot of people that's my children are my greatest.
I like that. I mean, not that I had to like or dislike the answer, but yeah, I definitely understand that feeling looking at my own kids now with a better vision. I,
You're right.
I definitely agree with that. And so my last question would be, what's your next goal that you want to accomplish? Whether it be with the podcast or just anything in life, what are you seeking? What goal do you have set for yourself now?
My biggest goal is the Off Earth Federation. And it's a conglomeration of nonprofits that are going to move the mining of minerals and materials off the face of our planet so that we stop destroying our planet. And we actually start mining asteroids and near Earth satellites. And this is something that's 5, 6 years into the making. I have designs of vehicles, engines, crafts, the systems that must be developed and everything. This is something that I've been working on for a very, very long time. All this stuff with all this technology and this EV, the electric batteries and all this stuff, a lot of people don't realize the amount of minerals required. And we're digging up our earth and in the process of digging up our earth to get to these minerals to produce all these electronics and technical devices, we're destroying and polluting Earth. So if we can stop doing it here, doing it in outer space and bringing the finished product. So that's my greatest dream. So I think kind of big, but it's what it is. Before we wrap up, what message would you like to leave our listeners?
Biggest thing is I know we always say, oh, religious power and things like that, but really want people to stop watching TV, stop watching these soap operas, stop watching these real all that. You are your own story. You are the you. Pay attention to you. You know what I'm saying? Instead of TVs and things like that, because that's just entertainment to take away from your mind from knowing who you really are and the power that lies within you. Get so wrapped up into what everybody else is doing. What are you doing? Pick up a book, read. It doesn't have to be the Bible, but read and get into something that really drives passion to you of what you want to do. Just like your passion is, stop destroying our earth. You know what I'm saying? But you had to read up on it. Somebody had to tell you. You had to read up on it to know that this is what's happening for you to develop a passion like this. I want to fix this. People would get
Mhm.
away from the news that is fake and stop watching the TV and find something passionate that is really driving them they'll seek out and then they'll find a love for something else. They'll find a need they can fulfill and they'll be helping themselves while helping others. That's really what I want people to do. I want people to find their power within them, love themselves, be able to turn their passion into some type of financial gain for themselves.
Well, I think this is a short, but it's a powerful show. But the only reason I'm cutting it a little short is because I'm going to bring you back in a month after I receive the products that you send to me, and I can give them a try, and I can give my own critique on these products, and we can talk about them and talk about their uses. So, my sister, my baby sister, I want to thank you, Gloria, for this powerful
Here.
conversation for our listeners. And I want you to also remember you're not alone. Question: do you have any resources that people could use for mental health? Do you know of anything online or where they should go or who they should call?
When I look back on it, my first journey, first of all, you gotta love yourself.
Hmm.
Going through depression, think that, you're not worthy. You feel like you're not worthy. You feel like nobody loves you, and things like that. And then you're seeking outside of yourself for
Hmm.
help and guidance. The first
Hmm.
start of it for me was I had to learn to love myself. I had to learn that I am worthy and I was designed for something. So I had a good friend of mine that I went to high school with created a self-love candle for me. And I would have to light that candle. Whenever I was feeling down, I would have to light that candle. And then I would have to look in the mirror and say certain affirmations like, I am beautiful, I am worthy. And, in the beginning, you seem like you're crazy for doing it and you sound like you're crazy. If you just never give up and you just keep going and keep pushing through that. So I had stopped taking medications a long time ago because they had me on medicine to put me to sleep,
Hmm.
medicine to wake me up, and I was
Right.
taking medicines 3 times a day, certain
Well, it
things,
throws
and
your biochemistry off, throws your whole body off. It can.
right. So it was just like, then you suffer from weight gain, then you go through weight loss, then you go through hair loss, then you go through your face breaking out,
Hmm.
So even though I was taking the medicines, thinking that it was helping to heal my depression, it's causing so many other things to get out of whack inside of me.
Right.
I was just like, all
Right.
right, I'm done with this medicine. Like, it's got to be another way. It's got to be another way. And so, and I just said, you
And
know what? I'm going to be depressed for the rest of my life. So let me just learn how to deal with it. Like I said, it
well,
wasn't
your
until
your your way out was Cantaglo. So I want to ask you, when people go to this podcast and when people go to our page, is it okay if we have your contact information, your business site, and anyone interested in Cantaglo, they can get in contact with you, get some more information, ask about some samples, maybe even join. So we're going to have my sister's social media information and contact information, on the page for this podcast here. Gloria, I just want to thank you for taking your time out. You're a busy woman with my niece and your so many different things going on and traveling, taking her all over the place to dance and model. And so I know you're a busy person. So I just thank you for taking the time out to come and spend time with us on this show and share this information with our listeners. So I hope to see you soon in a month.
yes,
Love you,
yes,
sis.
yes, yes. Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you.
Okay.